Let's see. Okay, robust urban garlic. All right. This is again not you. All right.
I don't think so.
So
Robust urban garlic flavor.
So yeah, that was a massive waste of everybody's time. Well, it wasn't interesting at all. The main thing to remember is that Asmongold doesn't make videos that he labors over. He does everything live. There's no scripting or editing. He's largely reacting to stuff, which isn't a big deal on Twitch, but when he puts the stuff on YouTube, particularly when he reacts to stuff like documentaries, he posts the thing, and his platform overshadows those documentaries on YouTube that people put weeks, if not months of effort into, and then the YouTube algorithm recommends react swap of the documentary over the actual thing. So to think Asmongold would put in effort to grill Phil is asking way too much. The thing with Phil is that he's a notorious liar, and how do you catch a liar? You have to get them to contradict themselves, so it requires a whole lot of time and energy to check Phil's nonsense, and you have to do your research, and of course Asmongold is never going to do that. Asmongold really either didn't bother or didn't care. I mean, he thought Phil's internet drama was pretty stupid, which I agree with him on that. Judging from what I saw, he was like, okay, I'll let Phil talk for an hour so I don't have to do anything today, and anyone from my audience that goes to watch Phil will be bored to tears or realize that what Phil was saying contradicts what we see him do on stream. Because there were moments where he was like, oh, I'm going to start something, and then it just fizzles out because he's like, hey, I'm not dealing with it. Like, his main thing was telling him, oh, you should just claim detractor content. But, you know, a lot of the things is like news cycle stuff. So once Phil uploads a new video, everything that happened yesterday suddenly no longer becomes important. Like, he could just start claiming if he had the ability to. I don't think he does. I think Asmongold has that ability because he has such a large platform that they give it to him like corporations. But with Phil, YouTube may just tell him to pound sand. Like, even if he did claim like a duty streams video, he'd probably get like the ads from like 1/100th of the views. So it's not really going to be worth his while in the long run. He would be better served to actually put content on his channel that people want to see. He doesn't get that he should just leave his live streams up. That's the crutch of the issue. Because he really has those on-demand videos afterwards, which are sloppy seconds. Just leave the live stream up and people will figure out what they want to see. He doesn't get that. He doesn't understand that his content is meandering. Like, if he put out a 20-minute highlight or a 20-minute thing like a review, it gets views. That's what he doesn't understand. It's really all about him trying to fish for whales. And he was so happy that Asmongold gave him a softball interview because, one, Asmongold hates interviews. Two, he's not really interested in digging through all the DSP lore. I don't blame him on that. And three, he didn't consider it any big deal, so we didn't really get much out of that. The only thing I grabbed from that is that DSP revealed that his AdSense account, which was suspended, is now active, so he's not partnered with any network at the moment. Which answers my question, how is he getting super chats and things like that? Because that was a big mystery for me. But the main reason this interview or discussion took place in the first place because DSP was upset that he was saying Asmongold is taking me out of context. That was not brought up at all during the entire hour and a half that they talked. Seriously, Asmongold did not bring that up at all. DSP at the beginning said, oh, well, my detractors watch this. Are you watching me or my detractors? That was it. Like, the whole premise of this discussion was just, oh, let's throw this by the wayside. It's like, at that point, don't even ask Phil any questions. Just talk to him about video games and stuff like that. But it was like, okay, let's just have Phil go on his soapbox. And it's like, you know, Asmongold knows. Like, watch the part where he talks about pirate software. He's laughing hysterically. And Phil doesn't get that he's laughing because the situation applies to Phil. And he's like, oh, here's a moment of reflection. What would you recommend to people who don't want to be locals? And Phil's like, I don't know. I was a pioneer in this stuff. I didn't have any example. Like, it's just so obvious, Phil, that you have no idea. Like, people told you all along the steps the way you were going was a bad idea, and you told them to pound sand. That's the issue. You never took constructive criticism. You were the guy who stubbornly refused to get a capture card. It's this dinosaur mentality that you have that you should be rewarded for putting the minimum amount of effort in that has gotten you into so much trouble. Like, part of why this is how you don't play happened, that people were upset with the way you were running things. Apparently Evil AJ was upset with Panda Lee because apparently she ruined your content according to him, but you prioritize what you need over what your fans want, and that's the huge issue. It shouldn't be about what you need. You have to entertain. And it's funny, he said the side scrollers they spent, oh, I spent like $1,000 on mobile games, and now he's telling Asmongold, yeah, I spent $10,000 to $20,000 in WWE Champions. Like, the follow-up to that is like, you don't see anything wrong with begging people for money, saying that you're going to go bankrupt, saying that you need money to pay for taxes, and then once you get that money, spending it on superfluous luxuries that you don't need, like sweaty men JPEGs. Like, hello? And Phil's like, nobody's going to call me out on this? Awesome. I'm just going to ramble on and hope that of those 9,000 people watching me that we have 2 or 3 wheels that I can pick up. That was the whole point. And apparently some people gave him money. I don't know if it was people from Asmongold or sock accounts from YouTube. Who really knows? Who really cares? He gets a soft bump, and then 2 weeks later we'll be back to the same thing. Because that's what happens. He's not going to save the money. He's going to go on Black Friday and he's going to beg like, okay, I did really well in that stream, but we need to get some money so I can buy stuff. Like, everything he does is about how can I get as much money as I need now and convince them that I don't have any savings or that I'm still destitute. It's like this teeter-totter where he's both successful but also not, because he really needs that money. So it's like the fans are keeping him successful, but they have to constantly keep paying him every single stream until it adds up to 1,800 plus a week. Like, you have to be really dumb to not see through this nonsense. It's funny because Asmongold asked him if he had a question for him, and his thought was, what do you think about me? It's all about him. The world revolves around him and his mind. And it's like he's dodging stuff. Like, I get the point where it's like, oh, I don't want to put any effort. It's like, why even have them on then? Like, you could have just had a very simple thing where you just play him a bunch of clips. Because the main issue, oh, I'm being taken out of context. This is not the real me. And then have him explain how it's out of context. You have to do very little because you're like, oh, this clip shows you this. Why are you saying it like that? And that's the route he should have taken. And it's like, not a lot of effort. You don't have to dig into WWE Champions. You don't have to dig into anything. You just play a beg compilation from one stream. It doesn't take much. But you know, Asmongold doesn't care because he's like, I'm making so much money anyway, it doesn't matter. Now with side scrollers, Stuttering Craig really wanted a platform, and he was like, this is going to get me a lot of attention if I do it the way people expect me to, and they grilled Phil. Rightfully so, but if there wasn't that energy to grill Phil, there probably wouldn't have been anything that would have been made about it, because Stuttering Craig knew nothing about Phil's antics. Nobody really does outside of a very small quarter of the internet. They know him mainly as the guy who left the camera on in 2016. He's really irrelevant. He only has a hold on a small group of people that gave him a ton of money. Everybody else thinks he's an idiot. And that really plays into his thing like, oh, the detractors have destroyed my business because they destroyed it in 2015. Like, Phil, that was 10 years ago. The YouTube algorithm is not the same as it was 10 years ago. You could have quickly rebuilt it. What you forget is that you have the huge channel. Heaven does not have 200,000 subscribers. Duty Streams does not have 500,000 subscribers. You have 220,000 or around that subscribers. Where these detractor channels, Memology is like 40, maybe at this point. You have a much bigger presence, or should have a much bigger presence than all these smaller channels. That's just the way YouTube works. The bigger you are, the bigger spread you get. Now yours is over time, so there could be just less people active that were watching you in the past. But the thing is, most of the people that are subscribed to you, they moved on. Because what you post is not what people want to see. He doesn't get it. You don't post unedited slop. Let's Plays are dead, and he refuses to admit that. He's looking at the Rad Brad, and he's like, this guy has 100,000 views, average-wise, per Let's Play. I mean, it goes down eventually. Like, the first part is always the most. But he's like, I'm just going to do that because it takes no effort, and I just think I get extra money. I don't know what it was 3 years ago, but I know today, if you leave a live stream up, it will accumulate views. And Phil stubbornly refuses to do that. YouTube has an editor where you could clip out the pre-rolls at the beginning. You could clip out the breaks. You could clip out the midstream begging segments that you try so hard to not show people who watch on demand, even though you beg intermittently on your games too. Like, it's not rocket science. But he insists upon doing this comfortable rut where he's like, oh, I gotta post 6 video game things a day that nobody wants to see. Podcast that even if there's an interesting topic that I put in the title, you have to scrub through to find it because he doesn't put timestamps in at all. And it's mostly filled with boring stuff like, oh, this is my schedule, here. And then you have him eating fast food or wanting to eat fast food. And, you know, then you have the 20-minute thing that people actually want to see. He doesn't put that out. If he just did, okay, this is the interesting topic I'm talking about today. He left the live stream up. He put that 10 to 20 minute I'm talking about this thing, he would consistently get at least 5,000 to 10,000 views every day. I'm not joking. He has some reach. It's not the reach he had years ago, but he has over 200,000 people subscribed to his channel. So it has a bigger platform that he's pretending that it doesn't. It's because he uploads garbage. That's just how it is. If he uploads shorter stuff that wasn't his daily rap nonsense, he would get viewership, but he does everything wrong. After whoever allegedly Derek stopped making his thumbnails, his games have been getting less views, and that's mainly because the thumbnails also suck. Like, have you seen his thumbnails? They're god-awful. He puts way too much text in. He doesn't get that he should be focusing himself, like YouTube thumbnails, face. People like faces. You focus on that. He focuses on everything but his face. And it makes no sense because he's streaming right in front of the camera. Once you click on it, you see his face. But he doesn't get any of these things, and he refuses to try because he's like, nah, I don't want to do anything. And it's so stupid because it actually is more time put in, and he doesn't realize that. Because he wastes his time uploading like 10 videos a day to YouTube that he records from OBS. Like, just leave the freaking live stream up and cut out the bits in YouTube Studio that you don't want to see. For whatever reason, he thinks there's like thousands of people that clamor for his on-demand playthroughs and that come and pay him somehow. And I think that's why he keeps doing it. But I also think that's just the pattern he made 17 years ago, and he's stuck with that because he thinks it worked back then, it should be working today. And that's why the clip channels are more popular than him, because they show people, for the most part, what they want to see, and they cut out the nonsense and the boring bits. I know it's reverting a little with some of them, like Duty Streams, where he extends videos and uses titles that don't necessarily reflect about what the video was about, or it doesn't get there until like 2/3 of the way in. So there's a lot of filler fluff. But Phil really should have looked at these compilations like This Is How You Don't Play back in the day and say, hey, maybe I should have hired Evil AJ. Hey, maybe I should have hired editors to go through my streams and pull out the interesting bits. And it's like, Phil's very talented at rambling, And he doesn't realize I could say anything about this topic from 10 to 20 minutes and it would get views. What he thinks is that he can ramble about a topic for 30 minutes, have 30 minutes of nonsense that doesn't relate to it, have another 10 minutes of dead air, put it on YouTube, and expect 1 million views. No, you have to curate it for people who want to see. And that's why he attracts people that are basically yes men, because one, he bans everybody because he thinks everybody's a detractor that offers him even the mildest form of criticism or something that he takes as a slight or a joke against him, because he refuses to be seen as a joke even though he is. Because it's like, oh yes master, this content is awesome, I'm gonna pay a ton of money for it. Like, that's how he operates. And it's really something that 99% of people see through, 1% don't, and for some reason they are keeping him afloat. I think they get a kick out of it, at least the whales. They're probably fully aware that Phil's an e-beggar, but I think they enjoy it. I think they love hearing him beg. That is the thing that most people, I think, misinterpret, where they're like, how could you give Phil money? Like, people give him money all the time in small increments, just mocking him because they get a kick out of it. I mean, the whales, the amount of money they give is crazy, but like, there's a contingency that enjoy Phil. Like, I enjoy Phil. I don't like him in full form. I hate it. I like him when he's being obnoxious, when he's being annoying, mainly in terms of money. When he's talking about like a certain topic, I like tune out, like wrestling, like I don't care. But when he's raging and when he's chastising his audience, it can be funny. Like, sometimes I think, what a jerk, but a lot of the times I'm just laughing at it because it's so ridiculous. And I think most people are tuned into that. It's just Phil's audience that is dwindling. We don't really know how many people are there because, oh, it says there's 200 or 300 people, but very few people are chatting. And that's basically because of the engagement thing that Phil was like, oh, you can't comment because I'm annoyed that most people are there mocking me. And that's the thing. You don't get people interacting with Phil's streams. Phil doesn't talk to you unless you give him money for the most part. He may say hey at the beginning of the stream when he's waiting for the audience to build up. But besides that, he doesn't care about your comments. But then he will go to someone like Jade or Darish and then constantly bring up what they're saying in chat. Phil doesn't know how to balance things and manage them well. All he knows is if I beg, I get money. And the dumbest thing he said during the interview was like, I need to beg because there was one stream I didn't beg and I only got $30. Like, have you ever studied science at all, Phil? Like, did you take a science class in high school? The main thing about experiments is if they're replicable. If you can test them and you get the same results again and again and again. One is way too small a sample size. You stream 12 times a week. You stream like 50 times a month. Way too small a sample size. Because in that stream, you could have gotten $300. You could have gotten $150. You could have gotten $50. You could have gotten $30, which you did. You don't know. Like, you could go for an entire week without begging and you could hit half your goals. You could hit none of your goals, or you could hit all of your goals. But he's just saying, oh, I did this once, so therefore it must obviously be true. Now, obviously, what I think would happen if he just said, I'm not going to mention money at all, his support would crater. Now, would it grow eventually? I think so. At least if we're talking with a typical streamer. But we're with Phil here, and Phil has put himself in a hole where he's reliant on these whales, and the whales love the begging. They respond positively to the begging. And what I mean by that is they reward him for it. They give him money. So what Phil would have to do would completely change the way he streams, and he'd have to bring in a complete new audience with a shiny can of paint that would be willing to support him. But the thing is, Phil knows he's not entertaining enough to do that, and that's the issue. That's why he wanted free publicity. That's what he got from Asmongold, because he's hoping there are a few rubes out there that are willing to shovel all their savings into my PayPal account. That's what he's looking for. That's all what it's about. Like, there's an infographic where they had Twitch streamers and who had the most generous per viewers. It's DSP, obviously. And why was it? Because DSP doesn't care about you if you give him $1 to $2 or nothing. He only cares about you if you're a whale. So everybody who wasn't a whale, they just blew off like dust in the wind, or he would ban them. He wouldn't entertain them. He wouldn't interact with them in the chat. He's like, yeah, you're not saying yes to everything I say, or you are criticizing my begging, or you're not giving me money. I'm not really gonna spend time on you. And if I do spend time, it's chastising you. That's not how you grow an audience. That's how you insulate yourself, where you're around a few group of people and that's it. So he's had success about cultivating the right group of people to give him a ton of money, but nothing else. That's why he has so many detractors. That's why he has double the audience on Raw Phil. Now, if Raw Phil went away, those 500 people watching concurrently, it varies, they wouldn't all come to his stream. He'd get like 5 of them. And why? Because they get a kick out of mocking Phil in the chat. Phil would not allow that in the YouTube chat. And they're not going to migrate to Kick to do that, really. They like talking about Phil. So they'll go someplace else to talk about Phil. That's what Phil doesn't understand. He thinks every detractor clip is views that he should have. You have to present that stuff, and you refuse to do that. You won't paint yourself in a negative light. You won't put a title, I e-beg constantly. Never. You would never have a clip that a detractor put and say, oh, I messed up, I goofed, or say, oh, this is what I do every day. Never. That's why there has been a huge audience around you that enjoy this drama of your finances because you've made it everybody else's business. That's the real kicker here. People don't care about your boring gameplay. They want to see highlights. They want edited content. How you do not understand this after being on YouTube, I can't believe it. I think you're just full of it. I think you're just lazy. And you try to convince people that this is what successful streamers do, this is what successful content creators do, and everybody else is just blowing smoke up there. But 99% of the people see through it. Your fans who are invested in you, both financially and personally, usually buy it. And if they dissent a little, you whack them with a mallet, and we go on from there. That's what you don't get. It's a very slow thing. And I think the detractors really keep him relevant. I think they motivate people to give him money because they're like, oh, we got to own the trolls. And I think they bring people in to watch DSP. Now, they may not watch him on his live streams, but there are people that come in from time to time. They give him a couple bucks. And if DSP was actually savvy, he'd be able to retain those people. But when push comes to shove, he always finds a way to isolate himself, because that's what a lot of it is. He isolates himself from other people because he's a jerk. He demands your money. If he's not begging, he's demanding. It's not so much as asking. He's like, okay, we got to do this or I'm going to get upset, basically. It's emotional manipulation. It's gaslighting. Now, if he was a child and throwing a tantrum, you let him throw a tantrum. You just ignore him. With Phil, his fans are like, yeah, let's give him a ton of money. Now, what their reasons are, we really don't know. They could just be really gullible. And there's like, if Phil needs that money, I need to chip in and give him money. Like, if you add up the math, he's comfortably getting over $100,000 a year from his fans to play video games. They don't have that money. They don't get that much a year. I mean, some of them, maybe the mega whales are secretly rich and we have no idea. But that's a ton of money off the backs of very few people. It all goes up to one person. It's very odd, don't you think? Like, I feel Asmongold didn't want to push him because he's also a live streamer. So he's like, maybe I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because I know people say heinous things about me, even though a lot of that is not due to money. Not at all. It's due to other things he puts out there, things he says. So he's like, okay. And you could tell, like, there are portions where he's like, yeah, this guy is just full of it, but I'm just going to roll with it. And, you know, I don't expect anybody to interrogate DSP or to get him to tell the truth, but have him say something interesting. Have him think about something instead of spewing the same nonsense that he does day in, day out. I know Asmongold didn't care because he doesn't hear the nonsense day in, day out. Or at least he sees it in clip form. But it's like, move Phil out of his comfort zone and make him think. I'm not saying he's going to tell the truth. He fervently refuses to tell the truth. He will lie through his teeth, but make him say something interesting. make him think about his career on YouTube, compare him to other people, and say, this is what people did. This is what people did that helped. This is what people did that hurt. Get him to think about something other than himself. Get him to think how his fans must feel in his shoes. Like, there were questions like, how does your wife feel about this? And he just answers the same way he feels. Because one, we don't even know if she's there or not. Like, there was a funny thing on Raw Phil where people are telling me during a break where he went to go check if she was making dinner or something. He didn't even leave the room. Like, you could still hear him on the mic. Now, he may have been shouting downstairs. I don't know. I don't really know the particulars of the Burnell townhouse, but it's very strange that what he does day in, day out is seen in a way that is acceptable. It's not. And I think most people see it. I think his fans are like, I just like him, or I like the fact that I own the detractors. So I just put up with the begging, like I just tune it out. Or if it's like, oh, I need a reminder, like, come on, 1,500 for fast food. Like, seriously, people are really hyped for that? I don't know. That sounds like a fairly childish audience to me. It sounds like you have a bunch of 40-year-olds that are like 10 in the head. Like, I'm sorry. There's nothing really deep going in there, because it's always, hey guys, we're going to play a game, and the game is give me money, and the reward is I get money. And that's it. Like, I'm so perplexed, and that's what a lot of people feel about it. That's why there are people constantly watching him and keeping up to date, because it's a reality TV show. It's a circus. It's a train wreck. And, you know, when you have these opportunities, because he's so shut in and self-absorbed, it's like, you don't have to destroy him, but get him to say something interesting. And if you don't do that, you're doing a disservice to your audience. Like, you're saying, okay, Phil's awesome. Like, you know, he's a guy that demands money out of people. Like, I get that most people are reasonable and they'll see right through the nonsense and they'll be cautious when handing out their money to people. But there are some really gullible, stupid people out there that will give hundreds of dollars to somebody else just based on a stupid emotional appeal. Like, I'm not like that. I'm very hesitant to shower people with money. Like, I'd rather spend it on things that make me happy, that I need, that make other people that are close to me, not some internet personality, happy. Things like that. Things that make the world better. Not something that is so obvious and superfluous. Like, he doesn't get the WWE Champions thing is a huge issue. Not because you playing mobile games inherently in itself is an issue. No, it's not at all. It's because what is the context of it? You constantly pressure your audience. You constantly beg them. You try to draw as much money out of them, squeeze them down, shake them down because you feel entitled to it. You demand it. And then you throw a fit every time you don't hit a goal. You throw a fit when you don't get as much as you want. You whine and say, oh, my wife has to cook today because we're not hitting the goal to play DSP tries it. Like, seriously? You are ungrateful and you don't understand that, or you don't care. And you're like, I'm a jerk. I deserve everything. That's what people see you as. They don't see you as positive. It wouldn't even matter if you're entertaining or not. If people enjoy you and they give you money, that's one thing. But you keep it as a constant pressure drive. And if you were smart back in the day, you would have built a framework where you had a consistent level of support, where today you wouldn't need to beg at all. If you had saved your money, you wouldn't need to beg for all. If you didn't have a mobile game addiction, you wouldn't have to beg at all. You got it on the ground floor. You were very fortunate that you had a platform, because today, or if you even got in 10 years ago, you would have had no platform whatsoever. You'd be streaming to like 5 people, yelling at them for not giving you money, and then they just all leave. You'd just be shouting out into the void. So consider that. Consider how, especially this time of year, how you should be thankful for your audience that they're dumb enough to support you. How you're thankful for your audience that they get a kick out of your e-begging that they decide to support you. You should be thankful for your audience that spend their time with you when there's thousands of things they could do that's more entertaining. You should be grateful, not entitled. That's the issue people have. Beggars can't be choosers, Phil. But you act like a king and you demand money from people that you have no business demanding their money, especially for the effort you put in. Time doesn't equal effort in all cases, Phil, especially in terms of live streaming. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this podcast where we didn't really react to much of anything, or no clips, but I don't know. Let me know what you thought about this rant. Maybe I should have sounded angrier. Maybe give it some more juice. I don't know. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did. Let me know what you thought about the horrendous Asmon Gold interview in the comments and my commentary, and I will see you all next time. This is Robust turning off the station, and if you want to watch some of my reactions to that horrendous interview, you can go watch it on the Robust Urban Garlic Streams channel. There will be a link this time in the description. Thank you all. Have a wonderful
Jeff did a $5 tip. He says, I want to hear you say robust bourbon garlic flavor, like how you said robust urban garlic flavor. I never said robust urban garlic flavor. I said bourbon, not urban. How dare you? How dare you insinuate that I would say the word urban? I'm white. I can't say urban. It's offensive. You understand? That's how it works. Okay. All right, we're now up to $325 to support.